So here she is, the first love of my life. This is my 1978 Vespa P200E. So I used this scooter from about 1986 to about 88, 89, and then 1989 got a car, and basically it's been in that little storeroom since 1989. Inches of rust on it, inches of dust on it, but you know what? It's actually not that bad. Like, steering is just smooth as can be. Throttle cable was working fine. The gears, I've just gone through the gears, and actually to get the back wheel moving it could go in all 4 gears and neutral. Obviously it's a hell of a lot of work, but you know what, this is going to be my new project, and it could take me a year, it could take me 6 months, who cares. We're just going to try and do a full nut and bolt restoration for a bit of fun. Back in about 1986, 85, 86, when I first got it, I did a very rough and ready cosmetic restoration and basically stripped it back to bare metal, and all this sort of purple and silver respray. I just did all that with just aerosol cans, so it's not great. The original colour was that blue colour, but of course it was the mid 80s, so you've got to go a bit bonkers, haven't you? So this is it. We're going to try and do a little bit of a sort of series of videos basically showing how not to do it. This is definitely not going to be a guide to restoring a Vespa. This is going to be completely the opposite. It's going to be loads and loads of mistakes. It's going to be getting things wrong. It's going to be cocking it up. It's going to be redoing things because I've done them wrong. But you know what? This is going to be so much fun. Right, so first job, I need to take it apart enough to get the frame onto the bike rack on the back of the van and all the bits inside the van. So I think I'm going to try and get the front forks and the headset and all that off first. So watching all the YouTube videos, I'm going to need to film this, going to film all the wiring so that I can hopefully put it back together in the same way that it came out. God knows what it's going to look like under here, but let's give it a go. Right, more for by my benefit for the rebuild. I'm just going to have a little look at all the bits inside here. It's actually not too bad, you know. There's no rust in there. Everything looks really quite tidy. I'm going to buy a new wiring loom anyway, so I'm not too fussed if all the wiring goes haywire. I can work around that. Not too bad. So let's get that speedo off and get that dismantled. So headset, well, top of the headset is off. I want to get all the cables at the other end, at the engine end, the selector boxes, throttle, clutch. I need to do all of that as well. But I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking somehow I'm going to try and get the front forks out and take that full headset off. So let's see how we go about doing that. So one of the things I need to do is open up, reveal the carb. There's the air filter, there's the carburetor. So I need to disconnect the throttle cable, which is that bottom one there. So what I can do is use a screwdriver to pull that up and then just pick it out with a pair of pliers. So we'll get that done next. So I think what I'm going to do with these connections is I've got the wires coming up from, let's say, with the indicators. So they'll be behind here and obviously through to the rear indicators. I'm going to cut these wires off here, so I've got the originals and I've still got all the correct colours to that there. That means I can just get rid of this, get rid of those wires. So I think I'm just going to go straight through those wire cutters. There. So that means that can now stay back on. I'm just going to screw this up to keep it all together. And what I'm hoping is I can probably do the same on the other side with all that wiring, keeping the same colours under there. So after a lot of kicking, prodding and poking, we've got the headset off. The bonus thing is that because I'm going to replace all the cables and all the wiring, in the end I could just cut through most of it. So I'm trying to keep all the bits together. So there's the main part of the headset, cut through all the cables, I've got all the bolts that go with it, there's the top part of the headset. So that's all good to go. So next job is to try and get the front forks off. So I'm going to have to do a bit of work on this area in here. The good point is that these this all looks super clean and tidy, not a spot of rust on it. Absolutely awesome. So I'm hopefully going to get that off relatively quickly, and we'll see if we can get the front fork out. Next job. Well, I'm waiting for the penetrating spray to kick in on that front fork. I think I'm going to start doing a little bit of work on this engine, try and unplug all the wires and undo everything so I can drop the engine out as well. So I need to take the air filter off, get the carb out the way, so that keep all that together. That's one thing, to give a little bit more room in there. Then undo all these cables, undo all the electrics, unclip the selector box stuff there, wires there, just a bit of prepping for getting the engine out. So I'm going to put a load of spray on all of that as well, and we'll take it from there. And so after a fair bit of jiggling and wiggling, we've got the various sort of locking nuts off, and bearings down there are amazingly clean. That's incredible. All that was actually pretty tidy. I think refurbishing all of this is going to be relatively easy. Down there, whole different ball game. Just for my future reference, that was the order that I took them off. So that will go on back first, the top set of bearings. Then there's a locking nut that goes on top of that. It's a thicker nut. Then there's a thin plain washer, and then finally there's another locking nut, but that last one that goes on the very top is a fraction thinner. So a number of hours later and a number of scuffed knuckles later, we're at the point where we're about to try and drop the engine out. You can see there's going to have to be some welding done, certainly on the two box sections underneath. The exhaust is going in the bin, loads of holes in it around here, but the rust is very superficial. I've cut most of the wires out. It's taken me God knows how long to get the two main engine bolts done, so I'm going to put it back up, knock out the engine, the big bolt retaining the engine, and then hopefully we can drop it out from that point. We shall see. Right, we have all the bits you need to make a scooter. What it means now is that I can actually transport it back home, because I can get all of these heavy individual bits inside the van, and then the actual frame, which isn't as heavy, can go onto the bike rack on the back. So I've got a bit of bagging and tagging to do. You can see the original colour was that blue colour, and then my crap paint job from mid-80s. Lots of rust, but as I say, it's pretty superficial stuff generally, only a bit of welding to do. I've got a lot of paint stripping to do, and we'll kind of take it from there, but I think the somewhere between 1 year and 3 year project is underway.